we're going to go into the winners, the losers, and the biggest surprises so far in the free agency season. And I'll start off first. You got to start with the Arizona Cardinals and trading for DeAndre Hopkins, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Some would argue the best wide receiver in the NFL. You put a playmaking quarterback with a playmaking wide receiver, and good stuff happens. We're talking about a quarterback that's going into his sophomore year. Had a very solid rookie year for Kyler Murray. You now have a above average running back in Kenyon Drake and a great second receiver still in Larry Fitzgerald. When you put playmakers together, good things happen on the offensive side of the ball. I cannot wait to see what the Arizona Cardinals do this season. Not to mention that they gave away David Johnson, who was incredible in 2016 and 2017, but it hasn't been relevant since. I thought it was a terrible trade for the Texans. Huge props to the Cardinals for making this trade, and they're going to play some exciting football. I can't wait to see what happens. Let's go with Cameron Smith. Cameron, what's your biggest win?
For my winners, I'm actually going to go with the New York Giants. I thought that the Giants roster last year was really good, at least on the offensive side of the ball. They had Saquon, Evan Ingram, but they dealt with injuries a lot during the season. But their big spot last year that was a room for concern was probably their defense. Their linebacking core has always been lacking, and in the last couple of years in the draft, they've taken guys like Dexter Lawrence and Dalvin Tomlinson. They want to bolster up the D-line. So now they've gone out. They've signed Blake Martinez in free agency. They got James Bradbury from the Panthers. They have a new first cornerback that they can pair with DeAndre Baker. And on top of this, Jadeveon Clowney is still on the board. And the Giants have been linked with Jadeveon Clowney since the moment his free agency run started. And I think if they can get Jadeveon and not give him the Brinks truck like a lot of people are expecting, I think the Giants will walk away like thieves in this free agency.
No doubt about it. They've definitely added a ton of people. Let's go to Cameron Johnson. What's your biggest winner this offseason?
The biggest winner, by far, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Come on now. Adding the greatest quarterback of all time to their ranks, and now you're adding the greatest quarterback of all time to your ranks, and you're taking off a man who threw 30 interceptions last year. Come on now. Tom Brady hasn't thrown 30 interceptions combined in the past 5 or 6 years. So you're adding Tom Brady to a receiving core that's already one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. You have Chris Godwin. You have Mike Evans. You have Cameron Brayden and O.J. Howard, 2 very good tight ends, to one of the best offenses from last year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have a serious chance to contend in the NFC next season.
Absolutely.
Although it breaks my heart, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be an exciting team next year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also talk about Ndamukong Suh on the defensive end. 1-year deal joining the Bucs as well. That's another great pickup.
Well, they retain him. He was already there.
I'm sorry.
He re-signed with them. Yeah.
Sorry. Good point. Sorry. Yeah, he re-signed. Thank you. But that's still a great. That's a great re-sign for them because that's going to put a lot of pressure.
Sir.
He's going to put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks and for an offense. I think it's really important to also remember how great Brady was when he had 2 good tight ends in Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. You bring that formula back now with 2 stud wide receivers. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be a serious problem. Jimmy Guancion, let's go to you, buddy.
All right, so my biggest winner is the Buffalo Bills. They picked up Stephon Diggs. They picked up Josh Norman. They picked up a couple other guys on the defensive side of the ball. But I think probably the biggest plus for them this offseason is that Tom Brady is no longer in that division.
Facts.
So suddenly that division is wide open. You have the Bills, the Jets, and, I guess still the Patriots and the Dolphins who are coming up. But I think with the addition of Stephon Diggs, with the addition of all of the defensive players, including Josh Norman, I think that the Bills are definitely one of the front runners to take that division. So I would have to give the biggest winner to the Bills.
Absolutely. Great trade for the Bills. They gave up a lot for it, but we'll see.
I'm actually doing the calculations right now to see how many seasons it took for Tom Brady to throw 30 interceptions. Gabe actually brought up a good point. This man Jameis, my goodness. From the looks of it right now, it would have at least taken Tom Brady 3 1/4 seasons. Because in 2016, when he played 12 games due to injury, he only threw 2 picks.
Well,
That's
So that's
unbelievable.
2016 was a Deflategate year.
the Flakely. Oh, that was right. The Flakegate year.
Good
You probably remember
times.
that pretty fondly, don't you, Camp Johnson?
I got a Super Bowl out of it.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
true.
Let's go last one,
Sorry,
Jordan.
Goodell.
What do you got
So
for us?
my biggest winner isn't as much about what they did; it's about what all the other teams had done. My biggest winner is the Philadelphia Eagles, just because, as you mentioned, Tom Brady is now in the NFC South. You have the NFC West getting a lot stronger with Seattle, and then also Arizona. Now San Francisco has to worry about DeAndre Hopkins twice a year. Not to mention they already have Seattle in their way. Meanwhile, the Eagles are kind of just like alone at the top of the Dallas Cowboys picked Alden Smith, who hasn't played football in 4 years, instead of Robert Quinn and Michael Bennett. It's a very questionable decision. The Giants made some good moves, but there's only so much help that like a Blake Martinez can really give you, but we still have a whole draft to go through. But as of right now, no team has helped themselves more or gotten more help than the Eagles by going from just like another division winner to possibly contending for a 1 seed just because they're going to have at least 4 easy wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jordan, I actually have a question for you, man.
Yes.
You brought up the draft. You have two teams in in the Giants and the Redskins that are both in the top 4 picks. And both of them are likely, or Giants maybe, but both have the possibility of going defense. So you're probably going to have at least Chase Young and maybe Isaiah Simmons or Derek Brown out of Auburn or somebody like that. And plus you have the possibility of Jadeveon Clowney coming in. Do you think that if something goes like that, do you think that the addition of those pass rushers into the division will change that answer?
The only reason I'm a little hesitant is because, or to say that it would change it, is because the Eagles have Lane Johnson. And as of right now, both of those teams, like Washington has Ryan Kerrigan, who is very good, but he's not Jadeveon Clowney. And
That's true.
Jadeveon Clowney would immediately be the Giants' first or best pass rusher. So he would be going against Lane Johnson a lot of time. I'd be annoyed to see Jadeveon Clowney twice a year because of that dirty hit on Wentz.